cubic yards of gravel that will be leaving our area, being shipped in 700-foot long ships to basically, mainly Los Angeles, as I understand it, Hawaii. Sales tax going to the point of purchase or to the point of delivery. We get nothing. The state gets 0.48% in the business and occupation tax. So the state gets a few bucks.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all the gravel that is taken out, especially in the Puget Sound area, it's a substantial amount of gravel. Our gravel, we're the Pitch Pier project, Federal Materials and Miles now, which is considered to be some of the best gravel, as far as I can tell, in the solar system.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned our gravel. How much of this gravel is owned by the county mineral rights? And how much are you proposing taxing private properties, mineral rights, and gravel extraction?
I'm proposing the same process that is used for timber. And that
The county doesn't, the timberland is public land. I'm talking about private. How much are you proposing
There is
taxing
a
private?
5% tax on timber on privately owned property. This would be the same thing.
How much?
There's a harvest tax.
There's a harvest tax.
They don't tax your mineral rights. We have no value and we don't
What was
tax
the
your
rate you
mineral
said?
rights.
It's 5%.
Harvest tax.
Harvest tax. on timber.
And then of course, there's a big minimum. I mean, you gotta get to a certain level before you're taxed.
Yeah, if you're logging for firewood and stuff, you don't pay the excise
Right.
tax.
Even if
You're
you're
right,
logging for
harvest tax.
considerable more in firewood.
But if you're harvesting on public or private land, in both cases, you pay a 5% excise tax. The difference here that I see, Phil, is that with timber, that's what you pay when you harvest it. You don't pay a sales tax. You just pay the 5%, the 5% excise tax on severing the land. And so here, if they're already paying 8% sales tax, and then we're adding 5% on top of it, that's why I kind of went, oh my God, we're adding that to it, that's 13%. But
Eventually, there's a sales tax on timber.
when you log it and make 2x4s, that's fine. I just mean the harvest.
Your office is just down the street from his.
Yeah.
Okay, you can talk to him a little bit. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to ask Phil if there's
Bill?
is there a number on the bill yet?
There is, but I don't have to let you know what it is. We just got a number.
And these are interesting and stimulating questions, and Jack, you were actually value added, but I want to try and get
Sure,
through
get
this.
to it, buddy. Do your thing. Do the math.
This is more of a statement, I guess, but it says, is this Grant County or Jefferson County? It seems we are dependent on grants. Why?
Speak to that a little bit, just to understand how counties are financed. We have property tax that everybody's familiar with. We've talked about that. That's a stable source of income for the county. It increases 1% a year, up to 1% a year without going to a vote of the people. Prices, this last year was an anomaly, they have been increasing much more than 1%. You might ask, well, how can you balance a budget that way if your prices are increasing 4% and your revenue is increasing just 1%? And the answer is, there's a lot of little things that go into financing counties, but the major things are sales tax, as has been mentioned here, grants, or the other ones, and then new construction. Well, we know from what Jack was saying about construction's been really down. So we don't have that extra property tax that we get when somebody does something new that year that we hadn't counted on. We add that to it, to the property tax. Sales tax has been down. A lot of the smaller taxes have been down. So that leaves grants. And what are grants? Those are your tax dollars that have gone to a state or federal government. And those tax dollars are either going to come back here or they're going to go someplace else. And what we have is a competitive process where we can ask for that money to come back here. And we encourage all our departments to participate when it makes financial sense. You do have to be careful not to make commitments that you can't uphold over the long run. So you have to study those grants real carefully before you go out for them. But it is your tax dollars coming back here instead of going to something else. And I think we can spend it more wisely than other states.
Yes, sir.
I get to
You're burning up all your questions now.
Grant, well, let's put them up there. For grant and funding, I think you should just take them out of the lexicon and call it other taxpayers' money and maybe some of ours. There's just funding, we'll get funding from somewhere. It's coming from us. It's not this magic funding and grant thing. And you're asking for all these funding things around here. When the county's hurting, I haven't heard one thing about jobs, stimulating working wage jobs.
We've got more questions here, so, that'll address some of that. All the elected officials are decrying lack of funding. When is the BOCC going to ease land use regulations to spur economic development? Anyone want to address that, John?
Sure. We probably won't ease regulations unless there is a legal way to do it. The regulations that we impose are often because we are required by the state to come up with a regulation for shoreline management or for critical areas. And so you won't see us cutting back on that. Now I know that there is always going to be a conflict, and it's a legitimate conflict, between people who want to be able to do whatever they wish on their own private property, and then those people who don't want their neighbors to do whatever the neighbor wishes. And I remember, I'll never forget, when I was going door to door, pushing doorbells, and I talked to a person who talked to me for about 15 minutes about the government should keep their hands off of his private property and let's not have all these regulations and telling me what I should do on my own property. And then as I was about to leave, he said, wait, come back here. You see that guy down there? He said, my neighbor's house? That place is a junk heap. And why doesn't the county do something about that? You go down there and tell my neighbor. So there's what laws attempt to do and what your government tries to do